Welcome back, everyone. Residents in a central Sioux Falls neighborhood are trying to make their voices heard.
But some feel like the sound of traffic from busy nearby streets is actually drowning those voices out. Cordell Wright spoke with them and joins us in studio with the details. Good evening, Cordell.
Good evening, Brian and Sam. This is where Shopper's Piano Gallery used to stand before it was purchased by the city and demolished. Now residents say their backyards are more susceptible to the sounds of Interstate 229 and 41st Street. And they're left wondering what the city's plan is.
We're kind of at wit's end. We don't know what's happening, you know, and we want answers and we want results.
Mike Carruthers has lived in his home for roughly 8 years in the area of 9th Avenue and Pam Road.
We have a lot of backyard conversations and stuff, or used to have a lot of backyard conversations. We don't have them anymore due to the demolition of the building behind us with no sight of what they're going to do.
Andy Berg, an engineer for the city of Sioux Falls, says the building was demolished because the neighborhood sits in a floodplain.
We have a voluntary buyout program for those areas so that we can remove those structures and remove those folks from the risk of flooding.
But it's the size of the building that was demolished that has residents concerned.
Our biggest concern was access to our kids playing in the backyard. And now we just have this wide open area to where anybody could drive in, they can see us from the highway, the on-ramp and everything.
Downloaded some decibel meters and stuff prior to the building going down and afterwards in the same spot, same time of the day. And it's over 70 decibels most of the time. As you can hear that in the background, it's loud like this all of the time now.
The Department of Transportation is also in the process of renovating the Cliff Avenue and Interstate 229 interchange, which has prompted a noise study to be conducted in that neighborhood.
We've agreed to, with the change out there, to update that study to identify if there's any changes that would require any sort of noise mitigation. We don't expect that to be the case, but if that study update does show that, then we'll take the appropriate actions.
If the study shows mitigation is needed, a sound wall may be installed. If mitigation is not required, the city does still hope to add some beautification landscape, which could help lower the decibel level. But those living in the neighborhood are still left with safety and property value concerns.
A year and a half ago when we bought this place, if I would have went out back and that building wasn't there, I wouldn't have bought this place.
Now, Brian and Sam, a lot of the frustration from these homeowners is coming from the fact that they don't know what the future holds for their backyards. But the city says as soon as they know a specific plan, they will be able to hold meetings to relay that information back to those homeowners.
Keeping our eyes peeled on that one. Cordell, thank you.